Welcome to Shredder Fanfic. Like, subscribe, and hype video. Join members to gain early access to new videos.
The main character, after dying in his previous life, he wakes up inside a Kung Fu Panda as Tai Lung. He eats a chakra fruit. What is Tai Lung with the chakra fruit gonna do inside of Kung Fu Panda?
Kung Fu Panda, reborn as Tai Lung, eat chakra fruit at the start. Chapter 1, Chains and Awakening. I opened my eyes to the sound of iron clinking against stone. My body felt heavy, different. Cold air pressed against my fur, and the weight on my back was unmistakable, a turtle shell. I pushed my hands against the ground, but the chains around my wrists tightened, forcing me down again. The metal bit into my skin as I pulled, testing their strength. They were thick, well-forged, and heavy enough to restrain someone dangerous. I took a breath, slow and steady. The air was thick with dust. Stone walls surrounded me, plain and grey. I recognized the smell, the scent of the Chorgon prison, the same place Tai Lung had been imprisoned in Kung Fu Panda. Then I noticed it. In front of me, glowing faintly in the dim light, rested a fruit. It was smooth, round, and pulsing with energy. The chakra fruit. I could feel its power even from where I sat, a current that pressed against the air and hummed inside my skull. The shell on my back felt alive under it. My tail twitched without command, drawn toward it like instinct. I hesitated only a moment before moving. My tail extended, curling around the fruit carefully, the way a limb might grasp a weapon. I brought it toward me. The scent was strange, sweet and sharp, filled with something that wasn't natural. I didn't think. I bit into it. The moment it touched my tongue, power burned through me. The chakra surged, flooding every muscle, every nerve, every inch of my body. I gasped as the energy expanded from my center outward, shaking the air around me. My vision blurred with blue light. The fruit dissolved inside me like fire turned liquid. I felt everything. Every particle of energy around me, every movement, every heartbeat in the distance. I could sense it all. It was raw, overwhelming, but it was power. A deep, pulsing power that wanted to move, to be shaped, to obey. I drew it inward and let it settle into my core. My arms tensed, the chains rattled, and cracks formed in the stone floor beneath me. Then I heard footsteps. Heavy, rhythmic, disciplined. I turned toward the sound and saw the rhino guards approaching. One of them was speaking to the duck messenger, Zeng. His feathers were ruffled, his beak moving quickly, his eyes darting between the guards and me. "Tell Master Shifu he has nothing to worry about," the lead rhino said, his voice deep and sure. It was the same scene I remembered, the one before Tai Lung's awakening in the movie. The duck's wings fluttered nervously, his beak opening as he prepared to fly. The rhino raised his foot to crush my tail. The weight of chakra inside me surged, demanding release. Before his hoof came down, I moved. I let the energy burst outward in a pulse. The air cracked. The chains around my wrists snapped apart, scattering shards of iron across the floor. My hand shot forward faster than I expected, and I caught the rhino's ankle before it could touch my tail. The impact vibrated through my arm, but I didn't let go. I stood slowly, gripping tighter. The rhino's eyes widened as he felt the strength behind my hold. "Do not," I said quietly, "step on my tail." He tried to pull back, but I twisted my wrist. He fell to one knee, armor scraping against the stone. The other guards raised their weapons, but I barely glanced at them. My body burned with control. I could feel the chakra moving, waiting for my command. I released him and stepped back, spreading my stance. My hands formed a seal, the motion coming naturally, as though I had known it all my life. The chakra around me shifted. It flowed outward, shaping into separate forms, copies of myself, identical in every detail. Shadow clones. They materialized one after another, each standing silent and still until I willed them forward. Through the link between us, I pushed a simple thought: knock out all the rhino guards. Without hesitation, they moved. The sound of impact filled the chamber, armor clashing, bodies hitting stone, weapons clattering. The clones fought with precision, strength, and speed. The rhinos were powerful, trained, but unprepared for this kind of attack. One by one, they fell unconscious. Zeng stood frozen, eyes wide. His feathers shook, his beak half open. I walked toward him slowly. My steps echoed across the chamber floor. The last of the guards collapsed behind me. The clones vanished in faint bursts of blue light, their task complete. The duck flinched when I stopped in front of him. I looked down at him. "Fly back to the Jade Palace," I said firmly. "Tell Master Shifu Tai Lung is coming home." Zeng's beak quivered. Home," he stammered, eyes darting to the fallen guards. "Be but Master Shifu, he." I held his gaze. "Go." He gulped, wings fluttering. "Why, yes, yes, of course." He turned, almost stumbling over his own feet, then flapped his wings and took off toward the exit tunnel, his feathers brushing the air as he disappeared from sight. Silence filled the prison. I stood still for a moment, breathing evenly, letting the last of the chakra settle inside me. The power felt stable now, controlled. It filled me completely, like an endless well waiting to be used. I looked down at my hands. The chains lay broken around me. My shell reflected faint light from the torches above. My body was stronger, heavier but faster. Every movement felt precise, efficient. It was quiet except for the faint wind moving through the tunnels. I turned my head toward the ceiling, where I knew the only exit stood. I remembered what came next. In the movie, Tai Lung would scale the prison walls, using the chain as a weapon, destroying everything in his path. That was still the plan. Only now I had chakra and the knowledge of every technique I had seen. The walls towered above me, endless. At the top, a small light flickered, the exit gate. I gathered chakra into my legs, feeling it coil tight, then released it in a controlled burst. My body lifted from the ground, landing lightly on the first ledge. The stone cracked beneath my feet. I climbed upward with precise control, using chakra to push against the walls, moving faster with each leap. Chains whipped toward me from the guards stationed above. I reached out, grabbed one Medea, and yanked. The guard holding it lost balance, pulled forward by his own weapon. I let the chain go and vaulted higher. At the final platform, a group of rhino captains waited, their spears raised, forming a defensive line. The captain shouted, "Tai Lung, surrender. You will not leave this place." I looked at them silently, then moved forward. They charged. I moved faster. Chakra flared from my body, forming a visible aura. My hands glowed faintly blue as I struck the first spear aside, twisting the weapon free. A kick to the chest sent the first guard crashing back. The others followed, striking in unison, but I was already inside their reach. I struck with open palms, sending waves of controlled chakra through their armor. The impact made them collapse instantly. One tried to retreat, running for the alarm rope. I appeared in front of him, moving on instinct alone, and pressed my palm to his chest. Chakra burst outward, knocking him unconscious before he could shout. Silence again. I stepped over them, heading toward the final gate. My claws pressed into the metal door. I channeled chakra into my arm and pushed. The gate groaned, then bent, the hinges tearing free from the frame. It crashed open, the echo traveling through the mountain. Cold air rushed in. The moonlight struck my face. I stood there, staring out at the world I had been kept from. The valley stretched far below, mist curling over the river. The mountains surrounded it, vast and silent. The night air was sharp, clean. I could hear everything, the rustle of trees, the faint cry of animals, the whisper of wind over stone. I took a breath. Freedom. The memory of Shifu came to mind, his voice, his disappointment, the moment he turned away. I remembered the years Tai Lung had spent in chains because of pride, because of the obsession with the dragon scroll. That didn't matter now. I had a body filled with chakra, a world waiting below. I looked once more toward the horizon. Somewhere out there, the Jade Palace waited. Shifu, the Valley of Peace, and the fate I already knew from the story. But I was not the same as before. I stepped forward and leapt into the night, using chakra to steady my fall. The air rushed past me as I descended toward the dark forest below. My shell gleamed faintly in the moonlight, and my landing shook the ground when I touched down. The wind settled. The forest grew quiet again. I began to walk. Each step carried me closer to the valley. The chakra inside me flowed easily now, pulsing with life. My muscles responded smoothly, every sense sharpened. The moonlight caught in my eyes as I looked ahead. There was nothing left to hold me here. Tai Lung was going home. Chapter 2. The Mountain and the Beasts. The wind along the mountain trail cut through the quiet night. It smelled of pine and cold stone. The moonlight rested on the slopes, silvering the path below my feet. I had not slowed since leaving Chorgom prison. The weight of chakra inside me was steady and bright, flowing through my limbs with every movement. Each step felt exact. The air shifted when I breathed. My claws dug into the ground with a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. I thought about what was supposed to happen next. The original Tai Lung would have fought through the valley, destroyed everything in his path, and faced Shifu only to lose against Po. His defeat was the end of his story. But I had no anger toward Po. He was innocent, chosen by chance. Nor did I hate Shifu. He had trained Tai Lung and loved him once, and fear had made him act. I understood that. The only one I couldn't forgive was Oogway. The old tortoise had seen a future and forced others to live by it. He turned a son into a warning and called it wisdom. The thought made my jaw tighten. I breathed out slowly and pushed it away. The chakra pulsed again, stronger now, like a current under my skin. I could feel how vast it was, limitless, waiting. The fruit had changed everything. In my mind, I remembered the stories from the other world. Kaguya, Hagoromo, the 10 tails. The way Hagoromo split that power into 9 living beings, tailed beasts, each with their own will. I stopped walking. The moonlight hit the ground around me in a soft ring of pale light. The idea came to me naturally. If chakra could be shaped into form, then I could do the same. I crouched and pressed my hands together, drawing in power from every direction. The ground under me shook lightly. 2 equal portions of chakra separated within me, one hot, wild, and full of restless energy, the other cold, precise, and controlled. I pushed them out and let them take shape before me. Blue light filled the clearing. When it dimmed, 2 figures stood in front of me. The first had orange fur and a fox's sharp grin. His eyes were bright, his ears flicking restlessly. His tail swayed behind him, full of motion even when he tried to stand still. The second was leaner, his fur darker gray, his posture straight. His expression was calm, detached, his eyes cold but observant. The fox stretched his arms above his head. "Whoa, that was weird," he said, blinking rapidly. "1 second there's nothing, the next I'm standing here." The wolf exhaled quietly. "You're too loud." The fox shot him a glare. "And you're too boring." Their voices were familiar, perfect echoes of Naruto and Sasuke from the Shippuden years I remembered. I smiled slightly at how natural it felt. "I'll call you Naruto," I said, pointing to the fox. "And you, Sasuke." Naruto grinned wide. "Heh, not bad, has a good ring to it." Sasuke crossed his arms. "Names don't matter unless you earn them." Naruto turned toward him, offended. "Hey, you're not the only cool one here, you know." Sasuke looked away, didn't say I was. I watched them quietly for a moment. The energy between them was balanced, the same push and pull I remembered. Naruto's restless optimism against Sasuke's cold focus. I felt something close to amusement. "You too," I said, "will stay with me. I didn't create you to fight for me. You'll walk beside me, companions." Naruto tilted his head. "So, we're a team." "Yes," I said, "a team." Sasuke's voice was level. "What's our goal?" "Survival first," I answered. "Then freedom. I want to live the way I choose." Naruto grinned. "Freedom, huh? I like that." Sasuke gave a quiet hum. "As long as it's not wasted." I started walking again, and they followed. Naruto walked slightly ahead, his steps uneven, his head turning to look at everything. Sasuke walked behind, silent, his gaze scanning the shadows between the trees. The mountain path opened into a flat ledge overlooking the valley. Below, the lights of small villages flickered faintly. I could see the Jade Palace sitting far in the distance under the moonlight. It hadn't changed. Even from here, it looked calm. Naruto looked down at it too. So, that's where we're going. Yes, I said. That's the Valley of Peace. Sasuke's tone was quiet but sharp. You have enemies there. I have history there, I corrected him. Not enemies. Naruto scratched his cheek. That's good, means we don't have to fight right away. Not yet, Sasuke said flatly. Naruto frowned. You always got a sound like that. Yes, Sasuke replied. Naruto groaned. Figures. I let their exchange fade into the background noise of the wind. It was grounding in a way I hadn't expected. For the first time since waking in that prison, the silence in my head felt lighter. We found a spot beneath a cluster of trees where the mountain flattened out. I sat with my back against a stone and drew in a slow breath. The chakra inside me was still powerful, still untamed in some areas. I decided to start shaping it. Naruto crouched nearby, watching me curiously. Hey, what's that you're doing? Control, I said. Chakra needs to flow evenly, or it will burn through you. Sasuke watched as well. He's right. You'll exhaust yourself without balance. Naruto shrugged. Balance her, not my strongest skill. I smiled faintly. I noticed. I pressed my palms together and focused. Chakra formed in my hands, bright blue, smooth and circular. I kept it steady, maintaining its size and rotation. Naruto leaned in closer, eyes wide. That looks like the Rasengan, he said excitedly. Something like it, I said, but this one's slower, calmer. Naruto grinned. You gotta teach me that. Later, I said. He pouted. Man, you sound just like the old perv used to. Sasuke gave him a look. Focus, idiot. Naruto glared. Shut up, you love acting all cool. Sasuke didn't reply. I kept the chakra sphere stable for another moment before letting it dissolve. The faint hum it left behind lingered in my hands. I could already tell how much faster I was learning to control it. I looked at the two of them again. You'll both train tomorrow. We need to find how far your limits reach. Naruto grinned, full of energy. Yeah, I'll show you what I can do. Sasuke sighed softly. Just don't break something again. Hey, that was one time, Naruto shot back. Their bickering filled the quiet again. I let it. It kept the night from feeling empty. After a while, Naruto lay down near the campfire I built, already half asleep, tail twitching lazily. Sasuke sat on a rock nearby, silent and alert, his eyes fixed on the forest. I watched the fire burn low. The valley below looked calm. I would train, grow stronger, and then return there when I was ready. But for now, this quiet was enough. Naruto's breathing evened out as he fell asleep. Sasuke finally looked up from his watch. You really trust him that easily? I nodded. He's simple. That makes him honest. Sasuke's eyes shifted toward the valley. And the others, the ones waiting down there. I looked in the same direction. They'll understand eventually. The night stretched on. The fire crackled. The wind in the trees was soft. For the first time since escaping, I allowed myself to rest. Chapter 3. The Fox and the Wolf Train. The sun rose over the mountain ridge, spilling gold light across the clearing. Mist clung to the trees. The air smelled clean and cold. I stood in the center of the open ground, watching Naruto and Sasuke wake. Both had slept near the small campfire we built the night before. Naruto stretched with a long yawn, his tail flicking lazily. Morning already. Feels like I just closed my eyes. Sasuke brushed dirt off his clothes and stood. That's because you talk in your sleep, he said flatly. Naruto frowned. Hey, I don't talk that much. You never stop, Sasuke replied. Naruto crossed his arms. You're just grumpy in the morning. Maybe, Sasyuk said without looking at him. I smiled slightly. Good, you're both awake. We're training today. Naruto's eyes brightened. Training, finally. Sasyuk nodded once. What kind? Control first, I said. Then power. I walked toward the open center of the clearing and motioned for them to follow. You both have chakra now, strong but unrefined. It's time to focus it. Naruto stepped forward eagerly. Sasuke followed, quiet and focused. I looked at the two of them. Naruto, we'll start with you. I want you to form a sphere of chakra in your palm. Don't let it explode. Naruto grinned and rubbed his hands together. You mean the Rasengan thing? Yes, I said. Start small, keep it stable. He crouched slightly, focusing. Chakra gathered in his hand, swirling unevenly. It flickered and wobbled, then burst into a small puff of blue smoke. Naruto coughed. That was close. Too much energy, I said. Slow it down. He tried again. This time the chakra formed slower, but the rotation was uneven. The sphere collapsed halfway through. He shook his hand and laughed. Guess it's harder than it looks. Sasuke folded his arms. You're forcing it. Naruto looked over. Oh yeah, you think you can do better? Yes, Sasuke said simply. Naruto glared, but I cut in. Naruto again. Focus this time. Feel the chakra before you move it. He nodded and tried once more. I watched his expression change from strained to steady. The air around his hand shimmered as the chakra rotated. It wasn't perfect, but the shape was there. A small, unstable sphere of blue light. His face lit up. I did it. I nodded. Good. Keep practicing until it holds for longer. Sasuke's voice was calm. What about me? I turned toward him. You'll learn two things. The first is how to awaken your Sharingan. He frowned slightly. I've heard of it, the eyes that see everything. Yes, I said. It's more than sight, it's focus. You must see chakra itself. You already have the potential. Sasuke closed his eyes. How do I start? I stepped closer. Breathe evenly. Focus on me. Watch every movement, every flicker of chakra in my body. Don't blink until you can see it. He opened his eyes again, staring directly at me. His gaze was sharp and still. I moved one hand, drawing a thin thread of chakra through the air. His eyes tracked it without hesitation. His breathing slowed. Minutes passed quietly. A faint red glow formed in his pupils. Then, a single tomo appeared in each eye. Naruto gasped. Whoa, that's so cool. Sasuke blinked, his expression calm. So this is the Sharingan. Good, I said. Keep it active for as long as you can. Your eyes will ache at first. That's normal. Naruto leaned in, grinning. So what now, huh? You get fancy eyes and I just keep making spinning balls. Not just that, I said, smiling faintly. You'll both get something more. Naruto, you'll learn how to sense nature energy. He blinked. Nature energy, like trees and rocks. Yes, I said. Everything living has energy. You'll learn to pull it into your body and balance it with your chakra. That's called sage mode. Naruto's grin widened. That sounds awesome. Sasuke smirked. You'll probably turn into a frog. Naruto glared. I will not. Maybe, Sasuke said. Enough, I said. You'll both train separately. Sasuke, we move to the ridge. Naruto, stay here. Keep working on control until I return. Naruto saluted exaggeratedly. Got it, boss. I walked with Sasuke up the slope. The air thinned as we climbed. The ledge overlooked the valley. I stopped at the top and turned to face him. Now for the second technique, Chidori. He tilted his head. What is it? Concentrated lightning chakra in the hand, I said. Fast, sharp, and precise. Dangerous if used carelessly. I can handle it, Sasuke said. I nodded. Form the seals. Focus chakra into your hand. Compress it tightly, then push it forward. He raised his hand and began to shape the chakra. Sparks appeared, weak at first, then brighter. A sharp crackling sound filled the air. He gritted his teeth, holding the form steady. The lightning swirled and hissed, small arcs jumping across his fingers. I watched closely. His control was clean for a beginner. He had natural precision. Good, now release. He dropped his arm, the light fading. His breathing was calm, his eyes still red. Again, I said. He formed it faster this time. The crackling sound grew louder, echoing off the stone walls. I could see the electricity reflecting in his sharing, and when it grew unstable, he let it fade before it could burn him. He looked at me. It's harder than it looks. It will get easier, I said. You have the control. You just need endurance. He nodded once. We stayed on the ridge until the sun was high. I could see Naruto below, still working on his Rasengan. Each attempt ended with an explosion of dust or a small crater, followed by his frustrated shout. When Sasuke's breathing steadied again, I motioned for him to follow me down. Naruto waved as we approached. Hey, look what I got. He held up a Rasengan the size of a small melon. It flickered, but held steady for a few seconds before dispersing. His grin was wide and proud. Not bad, I said. Sasuke looked impressed despite himself. You actually managed it. Of course I did, Naruto said. I'm awesome. You blew up the ground 3 times, Sasuke pointed out. Yeah, but I didn't this time, Naruto said defensively. I raised a hand. That's enough. Both of you made progress. Naruto laughed. See, even he says so. Sasuke shook his head. You'll get careless if you keep celebrating. Naruto stuck his tongue out at him. I ignored them and crouched to draw a line in the dirt. From here on, we train together. You'll spar. The goal is control, not destruction. Use what you learned. Start when I say. They both nodded. I stepped back and raised my hand. Begin. Naruto charged first, chakra swirling around his arm. Sasuke stayed still until the last moment, his sharing and active, eyes tracking every movement. He sidestepped easily, his movements sharp and exact. Naruto spun and threw a punch, the air around his fist flickering with chakra. Sasuke caught his wrist and pushed him back. Too slow. Naruto growled. Yeah, try this. He jumped backward, forming another Rasengan. The ground shook when he launched forward again. Sasuke's hands flashed through seals, lightning gathering around his palm. He met Naruto halfway, their attacks colliding with a burst of energy that cracked the earth between them. The force sent dust flying. When it cleared, both of them were still standing, breathing hard. I clapped once. Good, enough. Naruto rubbed his arm. Man, that was awesome. Sasuke's eyes dimmed back to normal. It was decent. Decent, Naruto said. You were about to get blasted. Sasuke gave a faint smirk. If I wanted to end it, I would have. Naruto glared. We'll see about that next time. Fine, Sasuke said. I stepped between them. Tomorrow we'll continue. Naruto, you'll start learning to gather nature energy. Sasuke, you'll refine your Chidori until you can control its reach. Naruto grinned. This is gonna be great. Sasuke gave a short nod. Understood. The sun began to set, turning the sky orange. We built another fire near the clearing. Naruto cooked some of the supplies we found earlier, humming quietly as he worked. Sasuke sat nearby, silent, watching the flames. I leaned back against a rock, arms crossed, listening to them talk. Naruto spoke between bites of food. Hey, when we're done training, what happens next? We go to the valley, I said. Sasuke looked over, and then? Then we see who we've become, I said simply. Naruto smiled. Heh, sounds good to me. Sasuke looked at him. You'll probably trip on the way there. Hey, Naruto said, throwing a small piece of food at him. It bounced off Sasuke's shoulder. He didn't react. Naruto groaned. You're impossible. I smiled quietly. Their voices carried through the calm evening air. The fire burned low, casting long shadows across the clearing. Chapter 4. The Road and the Restaurant. The dirt road curved along the mountain base. Trees opened into a stretch of farmland where the smell of cooked rice and smoke drifted from a nearby village. The air was warm and steady. Dust clung to my fur as we walked. Naruto trailed behind me, swinging his arms, while Sasuke stayed quiet, walking just a few steps behind. Naruto groaned. "I'm starving. You think there's food in that village?" "There will be," I said. "Stay calm." "I am calm. My stomach is," Naruto said, holding it dramatically. Sasuke glanced sideways. "You're louder when you're hungry." Naruto scowled. "Yeah, well, I don't see you helping." "I'm not a cook," Sasuke said flatly. I chuckled lightly. "Enough. Let's get food before Naruto starts yelling at the sky." Naruto grinned. "Finally." We reached the small village as the sun reached its peak. The place was quiet. No merchants shouting, no music, just a few villagers going about their day. A group of rabbits carried baskets of vegetables, a family of goats tended to their cart, and a pair of cranes stood near the well. The air was filled with the sound of water and distant talk. Naruto looked around. "Kinda peaceful here." Sasuke nodded once. "Too quiet." "Quiet's good," I said. "Means we can eat in peace." We found a restaurant near the village center. The sign above the door read, "Green Willow Eatery." The smell of broth and fresh dough came from inside. Lanterns hung above the doorway, swaying gently in the breeze. Naruto's eyes went wide. "That smells amazing." Sasuke followed him in silently. I stepped through the door after them. Inside, a tall goose wearing a plain apron greeted us with a polite bow. "Welcome, travelers. Please sit anywhere." We chose a table near the corner. The room was small, only a few tables, with wooden walls and a faint smell of herbs. I glanced at the menu hanging near the counter. There were no meat dishes listed, only noodles, vegetable rolls, dumplings, soups, and rice bowls. It made sense. In this world, every being was an animal. Serving meat would have been the same as serving a neighbor. Naruto looked at the board and frowned. "No meat at all." Sasuke gave him a look. "Think about where we are." Naruto paused, then rubbed the back of his head. "Oh, right." The goose approached us with a friendly smile. "What can I get you three?" I answered first. 3 bowls of ramen, spring rolls, tomato soup, and bread. The goose nodded. "Excellent choices. I'll bring them out soon." As soon as he left, Naruto leaned on the table. "Ramen, finally. It's been days." Sasuke sighed softly. "You're obsessed." "Yeah, because it's the best food ever," Naruto said, grinning. I smiled slightly. "Just don't eat too fast this time. You almost choked last time we had soup." Naruto laughed awkwardly. "That was one time." Their voices filled the room with easy noise. For a moment, the world outside the restaurant felt far away. When the food came, steam rose from each bowl. The noodles glistened, the broth warm and rich. The spring rolls were crisp and golden, filled with vegetables. The tomato soup smelled faintly of garlic and herbs, and the bread was soft and still warm. Naruto picked up his chopsticks and started eating immediately. "This is amazing." Sasuke ate quietly, his movements exact and neat. I tasted the soup first. It was simple but clean, the warmth spreading through me quickly. The bread absorbed the tomato broth perfectly. I took a slow breath, appreciating the calm. Naruto spoke between mouthfuls. "Man, I could eat this every day." "Right, Sasuke." Sasuke didn't look up. "You say that about everything you don't burn." Naruto frowned. "Hey, my cooking isn't that bad." Sasuke replied calmly, "It's inedible." Naruto glared. "You just don't appreciate good flavor." I laughed quietly. "Both of you eat." Naruto huffed, but went back to slurping noodles. Halfway through the meal, the door burst open. A group of crocodile bandits stepped inside. 6 of them, dressed in mismatched armor and rough cloth, their scales dull under the lantern light. The biggest one, with a scar over his snout, slammed his tail against the floor. "Listen up. This place belongs to the Croc Fang gang now. Pay your dues." The goose owner froze behind the counter, feathers trembling. "Es, sirs, please. I already paid last week." The leader snarled. "Not enough. You pay again or we take everything." The other customers, mostly smaller animals, a family of rabbits, a goat couple, stood in silence, afraid to move. Naruto was already halfway up. Man, they just had to ruin lunch. Sasuke pushed his bowl aside calmly. "You going to deal with them, or should I?" "Both of you," I said. My tone stayed calm but firm. "Keep it clean. Don't break the tables." Naruto grinned. "Got it." Sasuke stood up slowly, adjusting his gloves. "Try not to make a mess." Naruto jumped forward first, landing right in front of the crocodiles. The leader blinked. "What are you supposed to be?" "Someone who's about to ruin your day," Naruto said, smiling wide. Before the bandit could react, Naruto's hand flashed. A small burst of chakra struck his chest and sent him sprawling back into his men. Chairs and bowls crashed to the ground. The others growled and charged. Sasuke moved in quietly from the side, his sharing and lit red, catching every motion. He dodged a swinging club, grabbed the attacker's arm, and pulled him into a throw that knocked 2 others down. A flash of lightning filled his hand as he struck the next one across the chest with a controlled burst of Chidori energy. The crocodile froze, paralyzed but alive. Naruto landed another hit on one that tried to sneak behind Sasuke. "Nice try," he shouted, sending the bandit flying into the wall. The last one hesitated, stepping back. Sasuke's eyes locked on him, calm and steady. "You can leave now." The bandit dropped his weapon and ran, crashing through the door into the street. Naruto dusted off his hands and grinned. "That was fun. Didn't even need my clones." Sasuke brushed his sleeve clean. "You talk too much during fights." "Yeah, but it's more fun that way," Naruto said, laughing. I stood and looked around. The tables were mostly intact, only a few bowls knocked over. "Good work," I said. "No damage worth worrying about." The goose owner hurried out from behind the counter, bowing repeatedly. Thank you so much. Those crocodiles have been stealing from us for months." Naruto rubbed the back of his head, smiling. "Don't worry about it. We were just eating." Sasuke looked at him. "You were shouting while eating." "Details," Naruto said. The goose turned toward me. "Please allow me to repay you. Your meal, it's on the house. Everything you ordered free." Naruto's eyes lit up. "Seriously?" The goose nodded eagerly. "Of course, it's the least I can do." Naruto looked at me, grinning ear to ear. "Hear that? Free food." I nodded once. "Thank you. We'll be sure to remember your kindness." Sasuke sat back down, finishing his remaining soup without expression. Naruto immediately started on another bowl the owner brought out. "This is the best day ever," he said between bites. I leaned back in my chair, watching them both. The noise of the restaurant returned slowly, the quiet talk of other customers, the sound of dishes clinking. The fear in the air was gone. Naruto kept eating happily. "Man, I could get used to this. You think the next place will give us free food too if bandits show up?" Sasuke looked at him, unimpressed. "If you're lucky." Naruto laughed. "Then we better keep walking." I smiled slightly. "Finish your food first." The 3 of us stayed until the bowls were empty and the sun had started to lower outside the windows. When we stood to leave, the goose bowed again, thanking us until we reached the door. Outside, the road stretched ahead, warm in the light of sunset. Naruto walked with his hands behind his head, humming to himself. Sasuke walked in silence beside him. I followed them, the sound of the village fading behind us. Chapter 5. Night Hunt. The night settled over the village with quiet stillness. The lanterns along the street swayed softly in the wind. Naruto and Sasuke followed me into the small hotel we had rented, their steps slow after the long day. The rooms were clean, plain, with simple beds and paper lamps glowing faintly in the corners. Naruto stretched his arms. Man, what a day! Free food, a fight, and a soft bed. I could live like this. Sasuke walked past him toward his bed. You'd get bored in a week. Naruto frowned. Would not. Yes, you would, Sasuke said, removing his shoes neatly before sitting down. Naruto sighed and flopped onto his bed. Whatever, I'm too tired to argue. I watched them both settle in. My expression stayed calm, but my thoughts were already moving elsewhere. The Croc Fang gang wouldn't let the humiliation stand. They had a base somewhere outside town, and they'd come for revenge the moment we left. The restaurant owner had been kind. He didn't deserve to pay the price for helping us. I'm going for a walk, I said casually. Naruto half lifted his head. At night, why? Need some air, I replied. Stay here, don't leave until morning. He shrugged. All right, but don't take too long, you'll miss breakfast. Sasuke looked at me quietly, but said nothing. I gave them both a small nod and left the room, closing the door behind me. The streets were mostly empty now. Only a few lamps remained lit, glowing orange against the dark. My footsteps made soft sounds on the stone road. The air was cool, the sky clear. I moved quickly toward the forest path on the edge of town. It didn't take long to find them. The crocodile gang's trail was easy to follow, the smell of smoke, the faint sound of metal clashing, the careless footprints left in the mud. Their base was set deep in a grove, surrounded by boulders and bamboo fencing. The closer I got, the stronger the stench of blood and damp air became. I crouched near the entrance and watched. There were two guards posted outside, leaning against the fence, weapons in hand. They were laughing, probably about what had happened earlier. I moved without sound. Chakra gathered at my feet, silent but strong. I stepped behind the first guard and struck once to the throat, fast and clean. He fell instantly. The second turned just in time to see my hand close around his neck. He didn't even get a shout out before I ended it. I stepped over their bodies and pushed through the gate. Inside, the place was worse than I expected. Wooden cages lined the walls of the open yard, filled with frightened animals, boars, deer, foxes, birds. Some of the cages were stacked too high. The smell of fear and unwashed scales filled the air. Crocodile bandits were everywhere, sharpening blades, counting stolen goods, and arguing. They hadn't noticed me yet. I didn't waste time. I formed seals quickly. Chakra gathered at my fingertips, sharp and bright. I moved through the camp with clean, efficient motion, no sound, no hesitation. The first two fell before they realized what was happening. The next three tried to raise their weapons, but I was already behind them. Each strike was exact, enough to end the fight in one move. The noise spread after that. A group of them rushed from the far side of the camp, shouting orders, but I was already moving. One swung a chain, another a spear. I caught the chain midair, yanked him forward and struck him in the chest. The spear wielder lunged, too slow. My palm hit his chin, breaking his stance instantly. The rest came all at once. Sparks flashed as weapons hit stone and broke. I didn't stop. My chakra surged, pushing faster, sharper. Every hit landed where it needed to. When the last one fell, I stood still for a moment, listening. The forest outside was silent. The only sound was the heavy breathing of the caged animals. That's when I saw them, the other crocodiles, not bandits, prisoners, locked in cages like the rest, some injured, others too weak to move. For a second, I hesitated, then I turned away. I had come to end the threat, not judge their hierarchy. I didn't care which side deserved what. The ones who lived in violence got what they built. I walked to the cages holding the other animals. One by one, I broke the locks, snapping them open with chakra-coated fingers. The doors swung wide. The animals stumbled out, confused and afraid, but alive. Go, I said quietly. Run. They didn't need to be told twice. Within moments, the camp was half empty, the freed captives disappearing into the night. I looked around once more to make sure there were no survivors. The camp was still. I picked up a piece of charcoal from a burnt log and walked to the center post. On it, I wrote one word. Akatsuki. It wasn't a claim of loyalty. It was a name that would spread fear. It would make sure no one came looking for revenge under their own banner. I dropped the charcoal and turned back toward the path. The forest air felt lighter as I walked away. The sky above was darker now, stars barely visible through the treetops. When I returned to the hotel, the lamps in the hall were dim. The floorboards creaked quietly under my feet. I opened the door to our room. Naruto was sitting up on his bed, half asleep. His hair was messy, and his eyes blinked slowly. "You're back. What were you doing?" "Nothing," I said, smiling faintly. "Go to sleep. We're leaving in the morning." He yawned and lay back down. "Okay, but don't forget breakfast." Sasuke's eyes opened slightly from the other bed. He didn't speak, just watched me for a second before closing them again. I sat down near the window and looked outside. The village was still quiet. No smoke rose from the distance. That was enough. The night passed slowly. The soft sound of Naruto's snoring filled the room. I leaned my head back against the wall and finally let myself breathe. Morning would come soon, and we'd continue the journey. Chapter 6. The Two Masters. The road curved gently along the hillside, wide enough for 3 travelers to walk side by side. The morning light was soft, and the air smelled of wet soil. Naruto walked ahead, kicking pebbles as he went, while Sasuke followed behind, quiet as usual. Naruto stretched his arms above his head. "I can't believe we've already been walking for half the day. You sure there's another village around here, right?" "There is," I said. "A small one near the river crossing. We'll stop there for food." "Good," Naruto said cheerfully. "I'm starving again." Sasuke sighed. "You're always starving." Naruto grinned. "That's because I burn energy being awesome." "You waste it being loud," Sasuke replied. Naruto frowned. "You're just jealous my energy's cooler." I shook my head lightly. "Both of you stop talking about energy and focus on walking. We're close." Naruto huffed, but didn't argue. We followed the trail for another hour until we heard shouting in the distance, loud, rough, and echoing through the trees. Naruto stopped mid-step. "That sounds like a fight." Sasuke turned his head slightly. "It's close." I nodded once. "We'll check it." We broke into a run, following the noise. The trees thinned and the road opened into a wide dirt clearing near the edge of the next village. Dust swirled in the air as 2 large figures clashed in the center. One was a brown bear, tall and broad, dressed in a worn monk's robe. The other was a white polar bear wearing dark armor. Both moved fast, striking and blocking with clean precision. The brown bear's voice carried across the field. "Why did you rebel, brother? You were a master. We trained together for years. Why throw it all away?" The polar bear growled, swinging a heavy strike that cracked the ground. "You wouldn't understand. The world doesn't need peace. It needs strength." Naruto blinked. "Whoa, these guys are strong." Sasuke stepped forward slightly, his eyes narrowing. "They're skilled." I looked at them both. "Step in. Stop the fight before someone gets killed." Naruto's grin returned immediately. Finally, some action. He ran forward, forming a quick hand sign. Sasuke followed, his sharing and activating in an instant. Naruto leapt into the air, landing between the 2 bears. "All right, break it up. Fighting in front of a whole village. Come on." The brown bear stepped back in surprise. "Who are you?" "Just someone who hates watching people beat each other up," Naruto said. The polar bear growled, "Out of my way." He swung his arm at Naruto. Sasuke was already there, blocking with his forearm and countering with a sharp strike to the ribs. The polar bear stumbled but regained balance quickly. I started walking forward, keeping my tone calm. "Enough. There's no reason for this fight." The brown bear turned toward me. The moment his eyes met mine, his expression changed. His body tensed, fur bristling, and he let out a loud snarl. Tai Lung. I stopped mid-step. He pointed at me, shouting, "Everyone get back, it's Tai Lung." Naruto's head turned quickly. Wait, what? Before I could say anything, the bear charged straight at me. He moved fast for his size, his claws cutting through the air. I dodged the first strike easily, blocking the second with my forearm and pushing him back. The ground cracked beneath his feet. "I don't want to fight you," I said plainly. He didn't listen. He swung again. I sidestepped and hit his shoulder with controlled force. The impact knocked him back several steps, but he stayed standing. His face twisted with anger. "You destroyed villages," he shouted. "You turned against your own master." I exhaled slowly. That was a long time ago. He roared and lunged again. This time I met him halfway. My strike landed clean across his chest, knocking the air out of him. He hit the ground hard. The polar bear, still reeling from Sasuke's attacks, tried to move toward us, but Naruto jumped in and hit him with a controlled Rasengan to the stomach. The burst of chakra sent him rolling into the dirt before he went still. I looked down at the brown bear. He was breathing but unconscious. His robe was torn, his arms shaking slightly. I crouched and checked his pulse, steady. He'd wake up later. Naruto scratched his head. "Man, that guy really didn't like you." Sasuke's voice was calm. "He didn't think," he reacted. Naruto turned to me. "So what was that about? Why'd he freak out like that?" I stood and dusted off my hands. "I'm a wanted criminal in China," I said casually. "They don't really hate me, they just hate me a little." Naruto blinked. "A little." "Yeah," I said cheerfully. "Not enough to do anything smart about it." Sasuke shook his head. "That's one way to put it." Naruto laughed. "Man, you're weirdly calm about this. Most people would be worried." "I'm not most people," I said. "Now, both of you, let's go before the village guard shows up." Naruto nodded quickly. "Yeah, good idea." Sasuke turned toward the fallen bears. "They'll wake up soon." "They'll be fine," I said. "Let them sort it out when they wake. We have our own road to follow." We walked away from the clearing, the sound of wind in the trees filling the silence. Naruto walked beside me, still curious. "So being wanted, does that mean people might attack you a lot?" "Sometimes," I said lightly. "Most of them stop after the first try." Naruto laughed. "I'd pay to see that." "You already do," Sasuke said without looking back. Naruto grinned. "Fair point." I let them talk as we continued down the path. The forest opened into wide fields that glowed gold under the afternoon sun. The wind blew across the grass, warm and steady. Naruto kicked another rock ahead. "You think we'll find more kung fu masters on the road?" "Probably," I said. "China's full of them." "Good. I like meeting strong people." Sasuke glanced over. "You like fighting strong people?" "Same thing," Naruto said with a grin. Sasuke sighed. "You're impossible." "Thanks," Naruto said proudly. I smiled quietly, walking ahead of them again. "Both of you keep up. There's another town ahead. We'll stop there before night." Naruto stretched his arms. "I call first dibs on food." Sasuke said dryly, "You always do." "Yeah, because I'm faster," Naruto replied, laughing. Their voices carried across the road. The sound of it was steady and familiar now, the kind of noise that filled the space between one fight and the next. The sun began to lower as we reached the end of the valley. The road stretched on ahead, calm and clear, the scent of wood smoke from the next village already faint on the wind. We kept walking. Chapter 7. The New Instructor. We reached the next village by evening. The sun had begun to dip behind the mountains, turning the sky red and gold. The air smelled of wood smoke and cooked rice. Naruto stretched both arms high and groaned loudly. "Finally, civilization," he shouted. "I can practically taste the food already." Sasuke shook his head. You're acting like we've been starving. We basically have, Naruto said, glaring. You don't get hungry like normal people. I smiled slightly. You'll both get your food. We're stopping here for the night. The road led us to a small town built beside a clear stream. Wooden bridges crossed the water, and lanterns already burned along the street. The buildings were simple but well kept. It was a calm place, quiet except for the chatter of villagers closing up their stalls for the night. We stopped in front of an inn called Twin Pines Rest House. I walked inside and spoke with the boor who worked the counter. A few coins later, he handed us a room key and thanked us for choosing his inn. The room upstairs had 3 beds, a low table, and an open window that looked out onto the street. Naruto immediately dropped his bag and flopped down face first onto one of the beds. Sasuke sat on another, arms crossed. He's asleep already. Naruto's voice came muffled through the pillow. Not asleep, just testing the bed. I sighed and leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You two have been training hard for days. I'll admit you've improved, but I'm getting tired of running the same drills. Naruto rolled over to look at me. Wait, what? You're bored of us already. Not bored of you, I said cheerfully. Just bored of repeating myself. Sasuke looked at me evenly. So, what are you planning? I'm planning to fix the problem, I said. You two need a teacher who can keep your attention. Naruto sat up. A new teacher, you serious? Completely, I said with a grin. You'll thank me tomorrow. They looked confused, but I didn't explain. I left the room, closing the door quietly behind me. The hallway smelled faintly of oil lamps and polished wood. Downstairs, the innkeeper had already gone to bed, leaving the front room dark. I walked outside into the courtyard. The night air was cool. A few insects chirped in the grass. I crouched and pressed my palm to the ground, drawing on the chakra that always hummed within me. The energy gathered and began to take shape, a figure forming out of the blue light. When it solidified, a tall German shepherd stood before me, fur sleek, eyes calm and steady. He wore a light vest fitted for movement, a small cloth mask covering part of his muzzle. He blinked once and looked at me. That's different, he said with mild surprise, his voice calm and even. Good evening, I said casually. Your name is Kakashi. You'll be training my 2 students from now on. He tilted his head slightly. Training? I just appeared, and you're giving me a job already. You'll enjoy it, I said with a small grin. 2 strong pupils, just a bit rough around the edges. You're the kind of teacher who can handle that. Kakashi gave a short, amused breath through his nose. Sounds easy enough. What are they like? One talks too much, I said, smiling. The other talks too little. They balance each other. He nodded. Understood. Teach them however you want, I said. I'll stay nearby, but I want to see how they learn without me interfering. Kakashi's tail flicked once as he smiled under the mask. Then I'll do my best. I went to the inn door and called out quietly, Naruto, Sasuke, outside, now. A few moments later, Naruto stumbled out, rubbing his eyes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. Sasuke followed, alert and silent. His gaze moved to Kakashi immediately. Who's this? Kakashi lifted a paw in greeting. Name, S. Kakashi. Starting tomorrow, I'll be your instructor. Naruto blinked. You're a dog. Technically, a German shepherd, Kakashi corrected lightly. You'll get used to it. Naruto grinned wide. That's awesome. I've never been trained by a dog before. Sasuke gave a quiet sigh. This is strange. Kakashi's single visible eye curved slightly as he smiled. You'll see, I'm a very good teacher. Naruto laughed. You don't look strict enough to be one. Kakashi tilted his head. Strict doesn't always mean effective. Naruto blinked, then shrugged. Okay, fair. I clapped my hands once. Good, then that's settled. Kakashi will take over training from tomorrow morning. You two listen to him, don't give him trouble. Naruto pointed at me. Wait, you're just ditching us. Not ditching, I said cheerfully. Delegating. Sasuke muttered, you just don't want to repeat yourself. I grinned. Exactly. Kakashi chuckled softly. They'll be fine. Get some rest, both of you. Naruto yawned. Fine, but this better be good training. Depends on how hard you work, Kakashi replied simply. They went back inside. Kakashi looked at me once more. You trust them? I do, I said, but they need someone with patience. You're perfect for that. He smiled faintly. I'll make sure they don't disappoint you. The next morning, I woke to the sound of Naruto shouting downstairs. Come on, Sasuke. We're gonna be late for training. Sasuke's calm reply followed. You're the one shouting before sunrise. I stepped outside and saw Kakashi waiting in the field behind the inn. He stood upright, tail swaying slightly, holding a small book in one paw while he waited for the two of them to finish arguing. When they arrived, Naruto pointed at the book. You're reading before training. Kakashi looked up, multitasking. Naruto squinted. You sound way too calm. That's how I stay alive, Kakashi said lightly. All right, both of you, let's begin. First exercise, team coordination. Naruto pumped his fist. Yes, finally something fun. Sasuke said quietly, focus. Kakashi pointed to the open field. You'll both attack me together. Try to land a hit. Don't hold back. Naruto's eyes went wide. You sure? We're really strong. Kakashi smiled behind his mask. Then show me. Naruto charged first, forming a Rasengan. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and moved from the side, aiming to catch Kakashi's blind spot. Kakashi moved smoothly, almost lazily, ducking Naruto's first strike and blocking Sasuke's kick in the same motion. He used one hand to redirect Naruto's attack into the ground, creating a small burst of dust. Naruto stumbled back. He dodged that like it was nothing. Kakashi's voice stayed calm. You're strong, but you rush too much. Again. Naruto grinned and attacked again, faster this time. Sasuke followed, more precise. Kakashi still kept his tone even as he countered both of them, never raising his voice or losing rhythm. Each movement taught something, how to step, where to strike, when to pull back. He corrected them with short, direct remarks that made sense immediately. Sasuke noticed it first. He's not even trying. Kakashi smiled. You're right, because this isn't about strength, it's about control. By noon, both Naruto and Sasuke were covered in dust and sweat, panting on the grass. Kakashi hadn't even broken a sweat. Naruto groaned. You're insane. You're even worse than Tai Lung. Kakashi gave a light laugh. I'll take that as a compliment. Sasuke looked at him seriously. You analyze everything. That's the idea, Kakashi said. Learn to do the same. It keeps you alive. I watched from the side of the field, arms crossed. They were learning faster under him than they had with me. He wasn't pushing them with power. He was guiding them with calm precision. I couldn't help but smile. When training ended, Naruto lay flat on his back, staring at the sky. That was the hardest training ever, but it was awesome. Kakashi nodded approvingly. You both did well. Rest, eat, and come back tomorrow. We'll work on tactics next. Sasuke stood up slowly, brushing dirt from his pants. You're better than I expected. Good to hear, Kakashi said lightly. Naruto sat up, grinning. I like him. He's weird, but in a cool way. I laughed quietly. I told you you'd thank me. Naruto looked over. Yeah, guess you weren't lying. I never lie, I said cheerfully. Sometimes I just don't tell the whole story. Sasuke rolled his eyes. That sounds like a lie. I grinned. You're learning. Kakashi chuckled softly. You've got a good team here. I know, I said. Now they're your problem. He smiled. Wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 8, Clash on the Mountain. The road curved up the side of the mountain, steep but wide enough for four to walk together. The air was cool, thinner the higher we climbed. Rocks crunched beneath our feet. Ahead, the forest thinned into patches of stone and mist. Naruto was walking backward in front of us, talking as usual. "So, what's up there, huh? Think it's another village? Maybe they have ramen." Sasuke exhaled slowly. "You think of nothing but food." "Yeah, because food keeps me alive," Naruto said, grinning. Kakashi followed quietly beside me, reading from a small booklet while he walked. "Ramen is good for morale," he said casually. Naruto pointed at him. "See, Kakashi gets it." Sasuke shook his head. "You're both ridiculous." I smiled faintly. "Save your energy. This climb isn't short." We continued upward until the path leveled out into a plateau covered in mist. I stopped suddenly when I saw movement ahead. 5 figures stood in the clearing. My eyes narrowed. I recognized them immediately. The Furious 5. Tigris, Monkey, Crane, Viper, and Mantis. They were already in fighting stance. Their eyes locked on me, and their posture shifted to attack. Monkey leaned toward Tigris, whispering, "Should we still attack? He's not alone." Viper's voice was cautious. "Maybe we shouldn't. Look at the others. They might be innocents." Tigris stayed still, her gaze fixed on me. I could tell she was thinking, analyzing the situation. I smiled. "Looks like we're popular." Naruto scratched his head. "Ah, who are they?" Kakashi closed his book and slipped it into his vest. "They're strong. We should stay alert." Sasuke activated his sharing and quietly. "What do we do?" "Simple," I said cheerfully. "We attack first." They didn't hesitate. In a blink, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto vanished from sight. The Furious 5 tensed in shock. Naruto appeared behind them, smiling brightly. "Man, you guys look like good people. I wish we could be friends. Too bad the boss says we gotta knock you out." Sasuke landed beside him and muttered, "Naruto, shut up." Kakashi appeared next to them, hands in his pockets. "He's not wrong, but stop talking. They're faster than they look." Naruto turned to him, looking offended. "Et tu, Kakashi." Kakashi ignored him. Before anyone moved again, Tigris lunged toward me. She was fast, faster than before. Her strike came straight for my chest, but Kakashi flashed between us and caught her kick with one arm. The impact made a dull thud against his bracer. He looked down at her calmly. "Your opponent is me." Tigris pulled back, eyes narrowing. "You're not Tai Lung's usual ally." Kakashi shrugged. "First day on the job." She moved again, attacking with clean, sharp strikes. Kakashi blocked every hit, his movements smooth and efficient. The ground under them cracked slightly from the force of their exchanges. Meanwhile, Sasuke had already engaged Mantis and Viper. Mantis leapt at him from a rock, fast and unpredictable. Sasuke sidestepped easily, flicked his wrist, and struck him with a quick chop that sent him flying into the dirt. Mantis didn't get up. Viper hissed and darted through the grass, her movements hard to track. Sasuke's sharing and followed her precisely, but she was small and agile, using every rock and bush as cover. Across the clearing, Naruto was fighting Monkey and Crane. Monkey swung his staff at him with speed and precision, while Crane tried to hit from above with quick kicks. Naruto dodged easily, laughing between movements. "You guys are good," he said mid-dodge. "But you're not bad people. Why are we even fighting again?" Monkey grunted, jumping backward. "Because you're with Tai Lung." "Oh yeah," Naruto said, scratching his head as he blocked Crane's kick. "Right that." Crane sighed midair. "You talk too much." "Everyone keeps saying that," Naruto complained, spinning away to avoid another strike. He could have knocked them both out already, but he wasn't serious. He kept talking, smiling the whole time, using just enough effort to keep them from hitting him. Kakashi, meanwhile, was now sitting cross-legged on Tigris's unconscious body. She had fought well, but he had ended it quickly and cleanly. "She'll wake up fine," he said calmly. I watched the rest of the fight, arms crossed. "Sasuke, hurry up and finish. Don't hurt Viper too much." Sasuke's expression didn't change. Understood. He moved quickly, predicting her next movement. When she tried to strike from behind, he turned and grabbed her tail gently but firmly, spinning her once before setting her down hard enough to knock the breath out of her without breaking anything. She went limp, unconscious but unharmed. He straightened, brushing dust off his arm. Done. Naruto finally stopped dodging and sighed. All right, fine. He vanished for a second, reappearing behind both Monkey and Crane. Before either could react, he flicked both of them lightly on the neck. They dropped instantly, unconscious but breathing steadily. He looked down at them with a small smile. Told you we could have been friends. Kakashi looked up from where he sat. You talk more than you fight. Naruto grinned. Yeah, but my fights are more fun. Sasuke walked over, eyes normal again. You waste time. I call it multitasking, Naruto said proudly. I walked into the center of the clearing. The Furious Five were down, all breathing evenly. I crouched next to Tigress and checked her pulse. It was steady. Kakashi hadn't hurt her, just like I expected. Well, I said cheerfully, that went smoothly. Naruto crossed his arms. Smooth, I was sweating. You talk too much to notice, Sasuke said. Hey, that's my thing, Naruto replied. Kakashi stood, dusting himself off. They were good, disciplined, but predictable. They're the best in the valley, I said. You three just make them look slow. Naruto beamed. We're awesome, huh? I laughed lightly. Don't let it go to your head. Sasuke looked back at the unconscious fighters. What now? Nothing, I said. We keep moving. They'll wake up in a few hours. If we stay, the valley guards will arrive. Kakashi nodded. Makes sense. Naruto frowned slightly. Man, I still think they seem nice. You sure we had to fight them? They attacked first, I said simply, but you did well not to hurt them too much. Naruto smiled, rubbing his nose. Guess I'm just that good. Sasuke sighed. You're impossible. Kakashi put a paw on Naruto's shoulder. He's not wrong, though. Holding back takes control. Naruto grinned. See, Kakashi gets me. Kakashi's tone stayed calm. Don't let it inflate your ego. We left the clearing, walking up the mountain trail again. The mist started to lift as the sun rose higher. Behind us, the sound of distant wind moved through the trees. Naruto kept glancing back. You think they'll be mad when they wake up? Probably, I said cheerfully, but we'll be long gone by then. Sasuke walked ahead, quiet. Then we should move faster. Agreed, Kakashi said. Naruto sighed. Man, I really thought we could have been friends with those guys. I smiled. Maybe next time. We walked on, the road twisting upward toward the next ridge. Kakashi walked beside me, his usual calm composure never breaking. Naruto was still talking, Sasuke still pretending not to listen, and the air between all of us stayed light. For now the path was clear. Chapter 9. Return to the Jade Palace. The mountain air grew colder as the sun began to fall behind the peaks. We had been walking for hours. The path narrowed, winding along the ridge with cliffs dropping on either side. The clouds below made it look like we were walking above the world itself. Naruto whistled low. Man, this view's crazy. You sure this is the right way? It's the only way, I said. Sasuke's eyes scanned the valley below. We're being followed. Kakashi looked up into the sky. No, not followed, watched. I followed his gaze. Above us in the fading light, I saw movement. Crane. He was flying slowly, wings steady against the wind, carrying Tigress, Monkey, Viper, and Mantis beneath him in ropes and harnesses. They were still unconscious but safe. He was taking them back toward the valley. Naruto blinked. Oh, great, they're fine. Guess that's good. Sasuke said quietly, they'll tell everyone we're coming. I smiled slightly. Good, saves me the trouble. Kakashi glanced at me. You really plan to walk straight into the Jade Palace? Yes, I said cheerfully. That's exactly what I plan to do. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You're not gonna sneak in or something. No, I said, still smiling. Why would I? It's home. Sasuke gave a soft exhale. You're reckless. Maybe, I said, but this time it's necessary. We continued the climb. The sky grew darker, clouds rolling in thick and heavy. The wind picked up, scattering dust across the path. Lightning flashed once in the distance, lighting the stone walls of the Jade Palace far above. By the time we reached the final set of steps, night had fully fallen. The palace loomed above us, golden roofs glinting faintly under the storm clouds. The courtyard was empty, silent. No guards, no villagers, no students. Naruto looked around. Where is everyone? It's way too quiet. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Something's wrong. Kakashi looked to me. You already knew. I nodded once. Yeah. Naruto frowned. So what now? You three stay here, I said. This fight isn't yours. Kakashi's voice was calm. You sure you want to go alone? Yes, I said with a small grin. I trained you three for a reason. This part's mine. Naruto started to argue, but I raised my hand. I mean it. Stay here. He sighed. Fine, but don't take too long, boss. Sasuke said quietly, don't die. I'll try not to, I said lightly. Then the thunder cracked. The sound echoed across the mountain, loud and sharp. When the flash faded, I was gone. Another flash lit the courtyard of the Jade Palace. I stood there, facing the old doors that led into the Hall of Warriors. Rain began to fall lightly, tapping against the stone. The scent of incense drifted faintly from inside. Then I felt it, his presence. The doors opened slowly. Shifu stood within, his robe simple, his staff held loosely in one paw. His eyes met mine, calm but sharp. Master, I said with an easy smile, I'm home. His tone was cold. I am not your master, and this is not your home. I tilted my head. Oh, is that so? He didn't move. The silence between us stretched for a long moment before I spoke again, still smiling. Then tell me something. Why is everyone gone? That is not of your concern, he said. I chuckled softly. Not my concern. It's my home, my palace, my neighbors, my village. I think that makes it my concern. Shifu's eyes narrowed. You forfeited that right long ago. Maybe, I said cheerfully, but I still want an answer. He raised his staff. Leave now, Tai Lung. I smiled wider. You really should know me better than that. We moved at the same time. The first clash shook the air. His staff met my arm, wood striking bone with a heavy crack. I twisted, blocking his next strike and countering with a kick that sent him back several steps. Shifu landed lightly, spinning the staff and rushing forward again. His movements were sharp and fast. The years hadn't dulled him. Every strike came with perfect control. I blocked, deflected, and struck back with equal force. Each impact echoed through the empty hall. He leapt high, flipping over me and landing a strike against my shoulder. Pain shot down my arm, but I caught the end of his staff before he could pull away and yanked him forward, throwing him across the floor. He rolled and came back up immediately, barely off balance. Lightning flashed through the open doorway. Rain poured harder now, soaking the floor. We clashed again. Sparks flew from every contact. He struck first this time, swinging low, then high. I dodged both and hit his wrist, sending the staff spinning out of his grip. He kicked upward, catching me under the chin and forcing me back. I smiled even as the impact strung. Still fast, master, I said lightly. He didn't answer. He spun, grabbing the staff midair as it fell, and slammed it into the ground. The stone cracked beneath him. A wave of energy burst outward, shaking the pillars. I steadied myself and leapt forward, meeting him in midair. Our fists collided. The force pushed both of us higher, into the open storm. Rain lashed against us as we fought above the palace. The storm surrounded everything, clouds flashing with light. thunder echoing through the mountains. Each strike sent small bursts of wind outward. He kicked, I blocked. I punched, he countered. Neither of us spoke now. The fight was pure instinct. He twisted Medea, trying to sweep my leg, but I caught him with both arms and threw him upward, following immediately after. Our blows collided again and again, the flashes of lightning lighting each motion. Finally, I saw an opening. He came in low, aiming for my ribs. I twisted, dodging the strike, and brought my knee up hard, catching him in the stomach. The impact sent him downward fast. He hit the roof first, sliding across it before crashing through into the main hall below. The sound of breaking tile and splintering wood echoed across the courtyard. I landed on the roof above, rain running down my fur, lightning flashing behind me. I looked down through the hole in the roof. Shifu lay below, breathing but unmoving, surrounded by the debris of broken stone and splintered floorboards. I exhaled once, watching him. The sound of thunder rolled through the valley again. And then I stood still, silent, rain falling around me. Chapter 10. The Truth Between Master and Student. The storm poured over the Jade Palace, water streaming down the roof tiles and dripping through the hole we'd made in the ceiling. The scent of rain and broken wood filled the air. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the hall where Shifu lay among the shattered floorboards. He stirred, his breathing heavy. Slowly, he pushed himself up with his staff. His robes were soaked, his fur matted. Despite his injuries, his eyes were clear and sharp. I dropped down from the hole above, landing in front of him. My feet hit the cracked floor with a solid thud. The air trembled faintly around me as I gathered my strength again. The fire of Chakra pulsed through my arms and down to my hands. I lifted them, and blue fire ignited along my fur, flickering in the dim light. Shifu tightened his grip on his staff, steadying himself. "Still you cannot control your rage," he said, voice low but firm. I smiled faintly. "Rage? No, not rage. I just have questions." He said nothing. "Tell me, Shifu," I said, stepping closer, my voice clear and even. "Tell me how proud you are. Tell me." He didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on mine. The heat from my hands grew brighter, the flames humming. I struck the ground beside him. The floor split, a small crater forming at his feet. "I rotted in that prison for 20 years because of you," I shouted. 20 years. Every day I waited, wondering if you'd come. But you never did." Shifu's expression stayed calm, but his silence said everything. "You knew," I said, my tone sharper now. "You always knew I was the dragon warrior. You trained me for it. You told me I was destined for it. But when Oogway said otherwise, what did you do? Nothing." I swung my arm. The impact cracked his staff in two and sent him sliding back across the floor. He hit the wall hard but stayed standing. His breathing was uneven, his grip on the broken staff tight. "I believed in you," he said quietly. "But you changed. You let pride blind you." I stepped forward again, my hands still burning. "I changed because I believed you, because I trusted you. You told me to reach for greatness, and when I did, you pulled me down." Shifu raised his staff half-broken, blocking my next strike. The impact pushed him back again. The flames reflected off his wet fur. I moved closer until we were only a few feet apart. "Do you know what 20 years feels like?" I asked, voice calmer now. 20 years alone in the dark. 20 years thinking about everything you ever said. I had a lot of time to think in that cell, Master. He exhaled slowly. "You were dangerous. You would have destroyed everything Oogway built." I laughed lightly, the sound echoing off the stone walls. "And what did Oogway build, huh? Fear, obedience. You followed him like he was some kind of god." "Oogway was wise," Shifu said. "Oogway was wrong," I said sharply. "He saw what he wanted to see. You just agreed because you were afraid of being wrong too." Lightning flashed again. The thunder followed a second later, shaking the floor. Shifu stood silently, his shoulders low, breathing slow and steady despite his exhaustion. "You think I didn't care?" he asked. "You think I didn't regret what happened?" I smiled faintly. Regret doesn't undo 20 years. He looked down for a moment, his ears twitching slightly at the rain hitting the roof. When he lifted his head again, his eyes had softened. Then what do you want, Tai Lung? I stepped closer. The flames dimmed slowly, fading from bright blue to faint embers around my hands. My tone stayed even. I wanted to know if you'd admit it. Admit what? He asked. That you were wrong, I said simply. The silence that followed stretched long enough for the storm to fill it. Then he nodded once, slow and deliberate. I was wrong. I watched him carefully. He wasn't lying. His shoulders lowered, the tension finally leaving them. I believed that control would protect you, he said, but I turned my back on you when you needed me most. For that, I am sorry. The words hung there for a moment. I stayed still, my breathing even. The fire on my hands went out completely. I tilted my head slightly, smiling again, but this time it wasn't mocking. Okay, I said simply. Shifu blinked, surprised. What? I said okay, I repeated, still smiling. I'm not angry anymore. He stared at me, confused. After everything, that's all you have to say. Yeah, I said lightly. I lost all my hatred in that cell years ago. It took a while, but it happened. Being angry got boring after the first few years. He looked at me carefully, his brow furrowed. You let it go. Pretty much, I said cheerfully. I thought about it a lot while chained to a wall. I could either stay mad forever or just stop caring. Turns out, stopping feels a lot better. Shifu's grip on the staff loosened slightly. His shoulders relaxed just a bit. You've changed. Of course I did, I said. 20 years alone gives you time to fix your head. I got over the dragon scroll, got over the title, got over Oogway, even got over you. Shifu looked down at the floor, then back at me. His tone was quiet now. Then why come back? I shrugged, because I wanted to see if you still believed what Oogway told you. He said nothing. You don't need to answer, I said with a small grin. Your face already did. The rain slowed, turning into a steady drizzle. The storm was moving away, but thunder still rolled somewhere in the distance. Shifu leaned on his broken staff. What will you do now? Nothing right now, I said casually. I'm just passing through. He frowned slightly. Passing through. Yeah, I said, smiling wider. Don't worry, I'm not here to destroy the palace. I'm not that kind of guy anymore. He studied me for a long moment before finally lowering his head. Then, perhaps there is still hope for you. I laughed softly. Maybe, or maybe I'm just bored of being the bad guy. The quiet returned, only the sound of rain filling the space between us. Shifu's breathing was steady again, his eyes no longer hard but tired. I could tell he didn't know what to make of me anymore, and that was fine. I took a few steps back, looking around the hall. The place hadn't changed much. The same statues, the same banners, the same air of discipline that used to make me feel trapped. It's still the same, I said, almost to myself, even after all this time. Some things never change, Shifu said quietly. Maybe they should, I replied. I turned toward the large open doors. The night air rushed in, cool and fresh after the storm. I didn't look back when I said, You should get some rest, Master. I hit you pretty hard. He gave a small nod, not answering. Lightning flashed again outside. The light filled the hall for a moment, and when it faded, I was gone. Chapter 11. The Panda and the Promise of Noodles. The rain had finally stopped. Water still dripped from the rooftops of the Jade Palace as the clouds began to part, letting in faint silver light from the moon. The air smelled like wet stone and pine. I stood at the top of the palace stairs, looking down the long path that wound back toward the mountain trail. Shifu was behind me, alive, breathing, and quiet. I didn't look back again. I'd said what needed to be said. It was time to leave. The wind carried voices from below, familiar ones. I followed the sound, walking down the long steps at an easy pace. The puddles splashed under my feet, small ripples forming and fading as I descended. By the time I reached the lower courtyard, the sight in front of me was not what I expected. Naruto was sitting cross-legged in front of a large panda who was flat on the ground with Kakashi sitting on top of his back, keeping him pinned with casual precision. Despite being trapped, the panda was talking animatedly, waving his arms as much as he could. Sasuke was standing nearby, silent but clearly watching with mild disbelief. So there I was, the panda said, rolling down the mountain because, balance is tricky when you're not used to all the kicking and flipping, and then wham! I crashed straight into a noodle cart. Naruto's eyes were wide with interest. Wait, hold on, you have noodles, like actual noodles. The panda grinned even while pinned under Kakashi. Oh yeah, my dad makes the best noodles in all of China. You ever hear of Mr. Ping's noodle shop? That's my dad. Naruto's entire face lit up. Your dad makes noodles, even ramen. The panda blinked. Ramen, what's ramen? Only the greatest food in existence, Naruto said, jumping to his feet. It's noodles, but better. You gotta try it. Kakashi sighed softly from where he sat on the panda's back. Naruto, focus. He's technically still your opponent. Naruto pointed dramatically. He's not an opponent, he's a fellow noodle lover. Sasuke rubbed his temple. You're unbelievable. The panda looked up at Kakashi, shifting slightly under him. Ah, I don't suppose you could let me up. I promise not to do any kung fu until after we've eaten something. Kakashi tilted his head. You attacked first. Technically, I tripped, the panda said quickly. Then yelled, then attacked. Not the same thing. Naruto laughed. See, Kakashi, he's cool, let him up. Kakashi looked at me as I approached. He's harmless, I said cheerfully. Let him go. Kakashi stood and stepped aside. The panda rolled onto his feet with surprising agility, brushing dust off his fur. He looked around at all of us, eyes bright and curious. Okay, he said, catching his breath. So you're the infamous Tai Lung, huh? I smiled slightly. That's what they say. I gotta admit, he said, you're a lot calmer than I expected. Everyone down in the valley makes it sound like you eat people for breakfast. I'm more of a soup person, I said easily. Naruto laughed out loud. See, he's got jokes. I told you he wasn't bad. Sasuke stayed quiet, but didn't argue. The panda nodded slowly, clearly studying me. Well, I'm Po, Dragon Warrior. Naruto cut in immediately. Wait, you're the Dragon Warrior. Po puffed his chest a little, proud. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Took a while, but I got the hang of it. Naruto looked impressed. You must be strong then. Kakashi's single visible eye shifted toward me briefly, but I just smiled. Po shrugged modestly. Strong enough to handle a few bad guys, I guess. Though, you don't seem too evil to me right now. Depends on the day, I said. Today's a calm one. Po laughed. Good to know. Also, I gotta ask, who are your friends? They're not from around here. Naruto jumped in before anyone else could. I'm Naruto, future Hawk. Greatest ninja ever. That's Sasuke, he's my rival. And the cool dog over there's Kakashi, he's our teacher. Po blinked. You've got a talking dog. Kakashi lifted a paw politely. Teacher, not pet. Po nodded. Right, cool, I'm cool with that. Naruto grinned. You know, Po, I like you. You're easy to talk to. Po smiled. Thanks, you too. You've got good energy. Loud but good. Sasuke muttered. He's always loud. Naruto ignored him completely. So, about those noodles. Po's ears perked up. Oh yeah, when this whole thing gets sorted out, you have to come down to the Valley of Peace. My dad's shop has the best noodles in China. You name it, noodle soup, fried noodles, extra spicy noodles, he makes them all. Naruto's eyes sparkled. Even ramen. Po hesitated. What's ramen again? It's noodles in soup, but the broth's special. And it's got eggs and meat and vegetables and… Naruto started, waving his hands around. Poe's eyes widened more with each word. That sounds amazing. We should totally trade recipes. My dad would freak out if he learned about that kind of soup. Naruto gasped. You're serious? You show him ramen. Of course, Poe said, smiling. Food is meant to be shared. Naruto practically bounced in place. You're officially my favorite person in China. Sasuke exhaled softly, crossing his arms. You've known him for 5 minutes. That's all it takes when noodles are involved, Naruto shot back. Kakashi was clearly amused, though he didn't show much beyond a small wag of his tail. Naruto's motivated by his stomach. This was bound to happen. Poe looked at him. You're pretty chill for a talking dog. Kakashi gave a small nod. Years of practice. Poe laughed loudly. Man, you guys are great. Seriously, when this all gets fixed, no fighting, no drama, you've got to come down. We'll eat till we can't move. Naruto pumped his fist. Deal. Sasuke looked unimpressed, but quietly muttered, I'll go if it shuts you up. Naruto grinned. You'll love it too, trust me. I stood a few steps away, watching the three of them with Poe. The air felt lighter now, almost strange after the storm and everything with Shifu. Kakashi leaned against a stone pillar, calm as always, letting Naruto talk himself breathless while Poe eagerly matched his energy. Their laughter carried across the courtyard, breaking the silence that had hung over the palace since I arrived. I finally walked closer, hands behind my back. So, Poe, I said, you're really the dragon warrior. Poe turned toward me, smiling nervously. Ah, yeah, guess that's me. Weird, huh? I nodded. Not really, you look the part. He blinked. Wait, really? Yeah, I said cheerfully. Oogway chose you for a reason. I can see why. Poe seemed to relax at that. Thanks, coming from you, that actually means a lot. Naruto elbowed him playfully. See, he's not scary at all. Poe laughed. You were right, totally normal. Well, except for the flaming hands earlier. I smiled wider. Old habit. Sasuke muttered. That's one way to describe it. The clouds finally broke apart completely, letting moonlight spill over the courtyard. The wet stone glistened, the puddles reflecting light like small mirrors. For the first time in a long while, the Jade Palace didn't feel like a battlefield. Poe stretched his arms and sighed. So, now what? Now, I said, we rest. Tomorrow we'll figure it out. Poe grinned. Sounds good to me. But seriously, don't forget about the noodles. Naruto pointed at him. You better not be lying. Poe laughed. Do I look like a guy who lies about food? Naruto nodded firmly. Fair point. Kakashi yawned lightly. You two could talk about food for days. Maybe we will, Poe said proudly. Food makes friends. Naruto nodded enthusiastically. Best philosophy ever. I turned toward the palace steps, smiling quietly. All right, that's enough bonding for one night. We'll stay nearby until morning. Poe waved. See you tomorrow then. Oh, and if you ever want to try hand-pulled noodles, I can show you how. Naruto gasped. You know how to make noodles too. Poe puffed out his chest. Of course, it's in my blood. As they started talking again, Sasuke sighed and walked away toward the courtyard edge. Kakashi followed him, tail flicking lazily. I watched Naruto and Poe keep talking, their laughter echoing across the quiet night. For once, everything felt simple. The storm had passed. Chapter 12. Peace under one roof. The sky above the Valley of Peace was clear again by mid-morning. The storm had washed everything clean. The sunlight glinted off the golden tiles of the Jade Palace roof. The mountain wind carried the scent of wet earth and bamboo through the open halls. I walked through the quiet corridors, bare feet tapping against the polished stone. The air was cool, calm, too calm after last night. When I reached the main hall, Shifu was sitting cross-legged near the broken section of floor where we had fought. The cracks were still visible. The damage was minor, but it lingered like a mark of everything that had just happened. He looked up as I approached. "You're still here," he said evenly. "I said I'd be," I replied cheerfully. "You didn't throw me out, so I took that as permission." Shifu sighed quietly. "You've always made your own interpretations." I smiled, and they usually work out. Before he could respond, the sound of distant voices reached us from outside the main doors, many of them. Crane's wings could be heard before he came into view, the flapping steady and rhythmic. His shadow passed over the courtyard below, and behind him came the familiar figures of tigress, monkey, viper, and mantis. They climbed the long stairs toward the palace, and walking with them, chatting and gesturing excitedly, was a round panda wearing a loose green robe and a wide grin. "Poe." I folded my arms and leaned against the doorframe, watching as they reached the top step. Poe spotted me first. "Hey, there he is," he called happily. "I was hoping you'd still be here." Monkey's eyes widened when he saw me. "You've got to be kidding me." Viper whispered something under her breath, glancing nervously at Shifu. Tigress stood front and center, her jaw tight, her eyes sharp and fixed on me. "Master Shifu," she said seriously, "we can't allow him to stay here, not after what happened." Monkey nodded quickly. "Yeah, last time we saw him, he sent me flying through 3 trees. Poe laughed lightly. "Technically, Naruto's clone did that. You were fine after like a minute." Monkey frowned. "You're not helping." Poe shrugged. "I'm just saying it wasn't personal." Tigress ignored him, her attention still locked on me. "He brought strangers with him last time. They fought us. You saw what they're capable of." From behind me, footsteps echoed. Naruto came walking in, Sasuke right behind him, and Kakashi close enough to catch both of them if needed. Naruto waved cheerfully. "Hey, oh, it's you guys again. You're all okay, right?" Monkey blinked. "You knocked us out." Naruto rubbed the back of his head. "Yeah, but we made sure you didn't get hurt. That counts for something, right?" Viper's tail flicked in disbelief. "You attacked us." Naruto looked awkward for half a second, then smiled again. "Details." Kakashi exhaled softly. "Naruto, maybe don't remind them." Sasuke stayed silent, only giving a nod of greeting. Poe's head moved between both groups, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. Okay, everybody relax. Nobody's fighting, right? We're all friends now, or at least acquaintances who aren't punching each other." Tigress didn't move. "Poe, you don't understand what he's done. You weren't here when he—" "I read about it," Poe interrupted gently. "I know the story, but I also saw what he's like now. He didn't hurt anyone since I met him. He's different." Shifu stood slowly, his staff steady in his paw. "That's correct." Tigress turned to him, her tone sharp. "Master." Shifu raised his paw to silence her. His voice stayed calm. "Tai Lung will not be leaving, nor will his companions. They will remain here as guests of the Jade Palace." The courtyard went quiet. The villagers gathered near the base of the stairs stopped whispering. Even the furious 5 froze for a moment. Monkey looked at Shifu with wide eyes. "You're serious?" Shifu nodded once. "Completely." Poe grinned. "See, told you he's fine." Tigress' tail lashed once in clear frustration. "You would let him live here after everything he's done." Shifu's voice didn't rise, but it carried across the courtyard. "Yes, because no one else would understand better than we do what it means to fall and rise again." Poe blinked. "Wow, that's actually kind of deep." Shifu gave him a brief glance. "Not intentional." I smiled faintly. "I appreciate it anyway." Shifu ignored that and turned to me. "You and your